Welcome back to the Heidi Harris Show. Well, there's a convention in town this week, the Colorado Water Users Association Annual Conference. I know you might not care about that, but if you turn your tap on and water's not there, you're going to be whining. This is a really important event. A lot of big wigs are in town, and they're discussing things that affect every single one of us. Joining us this morning, Bureau of Reclamation Commissioner Brenda Burman. Welcome to the Heidi Harris Show.
Thank you so much for having me on, Heidi. This conference, which is in Las Vegas every year, it's always just such a great occasion to bring together everyone who works on the Colorado River. And last night was no exception. Last night we were able to sign a new modern agreement with the Navajo Nation about how the Bureau of Reclamation is going to work with them on their water issues and how water can be reliable.
That's really important because there are so many states, even Mexico, dependent on the Colorado River. Talk about that because I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is.
Thank you, Heidi. The Colorado River, it flows through 7 states, including Nevada. Las Vegas gets over 90% of its water supply from the Colorado River. Ultimately, there are 40 million people who depend on this river and over 5.5 million acres of agriculture that depend on this river. So for the Bureau of Reclamation, we're working with our partners, we're working with the states, we're working with tribes, we're working with non-governmental organizations. We are out there every day trying to make sure that the water supply of the Colorado River is reliable. So that when the people, your listeners, are turning on their taps in the morning, they know that that water supply can be reliable.
That's important. We're speaking with Bureau of Reclamation Commissioner Brenda Burman. Now, you grew up in the Southwest. You know this area. Started out many years ago working in the national parks as an attorney. You've done things in the West, so you certainly know this issue very thoroughly.
I've been working on natural resource issues and water in particular for 25 years. And I have to say, all of those experiences have come together. And when the president nominated me to be the Bureau of Reclamation Commissioner, it was just the perfect opportunity. The president has given us so much support on Western water. He signed a memorandum last October of 2018, and it said, we're going to make water supply more reliable. And I don't know of a president that's done that since the 1960s. So I am here. I am here with the support of the president. I am here with the support of Secretary Bernhardt. And we are working with those in Nevada. We're working with those in the other 7 basin states of the Colorado River. And we are going to make sure that water supply is reliable for 40 million people.
That's amazing, too, because there is so much negotiating going on like you were doing last night with the Navajo Nation. There's a constant bit of juggling, right? Everybody's interests have to be met at the same time. That's got to be a real high wire act.
Yes, I think you described it well. Like I said, we're working with 7 states in the United States. We're working with 2 states in Mexico. We're working with the Republic of Mexico. There's over 25 tribes who rely on the Colorado River. And there's environmental groups who care deeply. We have recreation on the river. Those are a lot of interests. Those are a lot of interests to pull together. I commend the states for being in the lead here of how we're going to come to solutions. But really, our role at Reclamation is we are a strong partner. We are bringing that technical expertise. We are bringing cutting-edge science and the ability to understand what this river system's doing. And ultimately, we operate the system. When your listeners have been out at beautiful Hoover Dam and they look down, and right now they might see rocks. And that's because we've been in a drought for 20 years. So it's our job as a partner with those who deliver water to make sure that we are investing in the infrastructure we need, but also to make sure that we don't end up in court. This river basin and the leaders in this basin have been able to continuously make progress. What we know about the Colorado River is we've been in 20 years of drought. And if it wasn't for our incredible infrastructure, we know we would have been in crisis many years ago. So when you look at Hoover Dam and the water behind Hoover Dam, Lake Mead, that is our water supply for the lower basin. When we look up and we see Lake Powell, that's the water supply for the upper basin, and it will come down for the lower basin. But what we knew in 20 years of drought is the infrastructure wasn't enough. we all needed to come together to find solutions. And with the basin states in the lead and with strong leadership from Southern Nevada Water Agency right here in Las Vegas, the parties were able to come to the table. And in May, on top of Hoover Dam, we signed historic agreements in 2019. Those agreements brought us together. They've incentivized conservation. They've created mandatory contributions so that we can all protect the water supply, so we can all protect what we know is the water supply for 40 million people.
I've certainly seen a lot of changes here in Las Vegas growing up here. Everything from the early 80s when I actually saw the fish going over the spillways when Hoover Dam had so much water, or there was so much water in Lake Mead that they were dumping it over the spillways, to now when we're in a drought condition. I flew over in a private plane a couple of years ago over Lake Mead. I was stunned at how much ground you can see, mountaintops and things like that are peeking up from Lake Mead. And of course, they made a lot of changes to things like landscape, where people are going most zero scaping and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about how communities can make a big difference?
So I think communities have realized that we are looking at our water supply, and we know that we've been getting less water for 20 years. We don't know what's going to happen this year or next year. But we do know, we've been using cutting-edge forecasting tools, is as water managers, we need to be ready for anything that comes. So what folks have been doing in Las Vegas, in Phoenix, in Los Angeles, in Denver, and so many other places, is they've been bringing investment to the table, and that's nowhere more true than in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is at the forefront of conservation, at the forefront of finding creative ways to reduce how much water we're using each year.
That's important. So talk about some of the priorities for next year.
Our number one priority, those agreements we signed back in May, our number one priority is to implement those agreements. So starting in just 2 weeks, on January 1st, for the first time, both the states of Nevada and Arizona and the Republic of Mexico will be making mandatory contributions to Lake Mead. This will be the first year that that's happened. And it's an innovative way to make sure that we protect our number one water resource. For this next year, we're going to be making sure that we work with our partners to operate the system, to work with all of our incentives, to see if we can find more conservation, and to make sure that we're preparing ourselves for whatever comes next. We're going to make sure water is reliable.
Well, that's the important thing. We turn on the sink, we want water to be there. Most of us don't even think about what all of you guys are doing behind the scenes to make sure that happens. Have a great time at the Colorado Water Users Association annual conference here in Las Vegas. Have a great time in our fair city. I know you've been here many times, so we appreciate what you're doing every single day on our behalf. And thank you for being here. That's the Bureau of Reclamation Commissioner, Brenda Burman. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Heidi.
I'm Heidi Harris. Don't forget Bill O'Reilly coming up at 8:45, the Bill O'Reilly Report. I'm coming right back.